This is the Spin Lob.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Spin Lob. The title of this episode is Let's Go Nuts. This podcast, as you know, is all about Ohio water polo and how we're fitting into the national scene. It's a combination of what's going on here in Ohio, the Midwest, and at the national level. We're trying to provide you with insights of what's going on locally, but also give you some aspect and insights of what's going on around the country as well. Tonight, we have a riveting agenda. Two hot topics that we're going to talk about. One is the Cincinnati-based Masters water polo team, the Ohio Squirrels. We have here two board members, Ben Keefe and Jeff Clemens. And then another guest has come on from the national spotlight. This is USA Water Polo's John Abdou. John is the Chief High Performance Officer. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the Ohio Squirrels and with Ben and Jeff. Nick.
So I'm glad to have you guys on here. And fun story on this one, I actually coached Ben way back when he was in high school. But before we turn to these guys, Mike, do you want to give us a little background on the Ohio Squirrels and just a little bit of that, and we'll get into talking to our guests.
Sure, yeah. So we started a club back in 2007. The Ohio Squirrels is a Cincinnati Masters co-ed water polo team. So it's typically people that are 18 years and older. And it's a great way to stay in shape. We are constantly trying to look for ways to try to keep our weight down but stay active with the program and things like that. So that's pretty much been the essence since the very beginning. Very competitive team, but it's a great family club where we get together for a lot of different events outside of the pool as well.
Awesome. I knew I do enjoy getting out there. Miss getting out there on Sundays and Wednesdays, and so I can't wait for us to be able to get back in the pool. But Ben and Jeff, some people call us old. I prefer seasoned. What really gets you guys coming back to the pool each week to do this?
Well, first of all, Jeff's a little bit more seasoned than I am. We'll put that right out there. Part of the reason that I come back all the time is actually the people. It's a great group of people, and to have the opportunity to play and have the opportunity to compete with people that you really care about and that you like playing against and like learning from, and that's another great thing. There's so many great experienced water polo players that come from different backgrounds, whether it be people who've played their entire lives or people who've picked it up as a hobby later in life, or converted swimmers. There's just so many different types of people on one team, and we all learn from each other. And, the team chemistry is one of the things that keeps driving me back. And I know I was joking earlier and I said Jeff was more seasoned than me, but he's in the pool, he's somebody that I look up to, and he knows the game really well. And that's why I come back is the opportunity to grow a hobby and stay in shape.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Ben, both about me being more seasoned, and also about the team chemistry bringing us back in. For me, I've been playing close to 30 years now, and I still keep learning every day. So to Ben's point, we've got people that have played all over the country, played at all different levels, and whether I'm learning from somebody who's been playing a long time at a high level or teaching somebody who is just learning and figuring out new ways to talk about water polo, I'm always learning. So I do enjoy that a lot. But the sense of competition when you get to be pushing 40, there's only so much you can do to compete and keep yourself driving forward. And so to be able to a couple times a week get out there and really push my body is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I cannot agree with you more on that one. Just being able to compete still at that high level. And I know you guys just hosted a awesome tournament at the end of the winter, probably one of the last water polo tournaments there might have been before COVID hit with the Nutty Invite. Jeff, can you give us a little rundown on how that went and what really draws these teams in?
Yeah, it went really well. We finished real strong at the event. We split up for the first time in a long time into like a strong team and then just a little bit less a strong team. We're pretty balanced across the board, but we do have some players where if we were going to cut into what you want to call maybe an A and B squad, that we can bring kind of our best folks. And we played every team there really tough. There were some teams from Michigan and teams from Ohio State came down, or Columbus, their Masters team, and they're a real strong team too. And we ended up going 3-1, lost a tough one to Columbus, but it was a lot of fun to get in there with our best guys on one squad and just see how we matched up to everybody else. As far as people down here, I think, we run a good tournament. It runs quickly. There's usually, good quality teams there. So no team is coming in and just mopping up the floor with anybody else. And by the same token, no one's just getting their butt kicked. So it's good quality competition across the board. And I think that's a lot of what keeps people coming back.
I know I really enjoy getting a chance to play in there. And like you said, it's an A and a B team. And I think anybody on our team, they don't, mind playing on a team because they just want to get in and compete. And so being able to compete on your level, I think is always a good thing. Ben, how do you think the tournament went?
I think it went really well, except for the loss that we had against Columbus. I think it went really well. I think, they're kind of our arch rival, if you will. We started competing against those guys when they were still in college, and I was just out of college. And, I think we beat them one year, and that put a sour taste in their mouth, and they always, bring their A game when they play us. And, it's a different game when we play them. It's a bit more physical, and even though we lost, it was the most memorable game that we had of the tournament. And, that's to me, that's what's important. The saying goes, you can't win them all. And though we try, we're still a Masters team. And just to be able to be out there competing with these young guys who are, decorated former college players is something that's so awesome. And beyond that, one of the things that I do for the team is kind of put on these social events, and we always do have a party, right after the tournament where all the teams can get together and kind of get to know each other, because across the board, water polo is a unique sport where it's a tight-knit community and we know each other really well, and we continue these friendships across teams and across tournaments.
Yeah, I love the variety of teams that come down from Dayton and Cleveland. And, one year I remember Notre Dame came down. It was just really cool to kind of see all those different groups that interact at these tournaments.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we can't forget that one time we had a team come up from South Florida. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a long drive up north for a team from Florida, or fly, I guess. Both you guys are very active and both in different spots in your lives. So how are you guys keeping active, or what is keeping you active right now during this time when we're all kind of sequestered at home?
Well, for me, fortunately, I got a treadmill right before this whole thing hit. I didn't, really, that wasn't the plan, but so that's been able to keep me pretty active. Plus I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they're like a can of energy. And so that kind of keeps me going as well. But it's been a different type of world. I can say I really miss the pool in a big way because I'm getting a little tired of the treadmill and the small little set of weights I've got down in the basement. I'm really itching to get back in the pool, but I'm trying my best to keep going.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. Before this all went down, the COVID crisis, I would have told you if you ever see me running, you should run too, because somebody's chasing me. And COVID has kind of changed that. I've picked up running. They finished a bike path right by my house. I'm able to run. I probably run 4 times a week on that just to get the blood going, get a little cardio in. I'm not a great runner. I don't enjoy it, but it's something that I have picked up and learned to respect a lot more during this crisis. And then, I've always kind of done the Herschel Walker model, the running back from Georgia. He does push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups, and that's about it. And that's kind of just what I do. I'm thinking about getting into lifting, but it's a tough time with the gyms closed, so I'm kind of restricted. But for me, any type of activity to really get the blood going, whether it be hiking, running, even rollerblading, biking, anything during this time, I'm taking advantage of.
Yeah, I believe there is a competition on who can do the fastest 50 when we all get back in the pool. So we'll see whose training works better, treadmill, chasing my kids, or Ben's running outside. So I do want to thank you guys for joining us on, and I'm going to turn this over to Mike now.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Go nuts.
Thanks, guys. All right, for the second part of our presentation today, we have invited John Abdou. John is the Chief High Performance Officer with USA Water Polo. Welcome, John.
Yeah, hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, John, here in Ohio, your name might not be as known as much as we'd like it to be. Obviously, I follow you on Twitter, see all your stuff. It's great. We've been connected for a little while now.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, sure. No problem. It's great to reconnect, Mike, and to be on here. I think my short story is, I played water polo, grew up in Southern California here, played water polo starting in high school, and then on to UC Irvine, coached high school and club in the LA area for a while, then moved out to Bucknell University, where I was there for 6 years coaching college over there, and then shortly after that, or after those 6 years, went to UC Santa Barbara as the associate head coach there for almost 4 years. Ran the club there for a while, and then the last 6 years plus, I've been at USA Water Polo in this full-time role, and so got to know Ohio Water Polo well when I was living in Pennsylvania out in at Bucknell with several Ohio athletes on a roster there, and several summer campers from there, and it's great to reconnect with you guys, and appreciate what you're doing to grow the sport of water polo in Ohio.
Thank you. We appreciate it. So we are in a unique times, as Nick mentioned a couple minutes ago, with the gentleman from the Ohio Squirrels. If you could kind of give us some kind of state of union for how the USA Water Polo is doing in this COVID environment, like high level, how are things going?
Yeah, that's a good question. We may have to up the. I'll buy you a larger Zoom subscription for next time, so we can have a longer conversation. But it's look, generally we are adapting with the times like everybody else. I mean, it's really challenging and for everybody. And I think one of the things about USA Water Polo that's really unique is we're basically like the AYSO of water polo. Like the National Soccer Organization, right? So for us, we do all the youth programming and all kind of the national programming for water polo, but then also have the national teams, the Olympic teams on the other side of the house. So we try to do both things where we're growing the sport of water polo, but also trying to sponsor and maintain our national teams. And that's a heavy load for one organization to try to do both. I think we've done that well, but it's also at the same time, like you mentioned, these times it's a little stressful, and certainly a lot of question marks moving forward, and we're dealing with a lot of uncertainty, but at the same time we're trying to adapt on a daily basis, I think, just as long as everybody else.
Yeah, so for a regular player, whether they're somebody at my age, somebody at Jeff's age that was just on here, or even somebody in the youth programs, what are some things that they can be doing right now to stay active and engaged with the sport?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I know the gentleman before me, you guys made a great comment that water polo is very it's a small sport, and everyone's very well connected, and you have kind of friends around the world. I think it's one of the beautiful things about our sport, right? Is that you can say you tell someone you played water polo, if someone else, that person also played water polo, it's like this instant bond, right? And I think the small community that we're in, everybody is literally one step away from an Olympian or a high-level coach or a high-level trainer in our sport that can be offering some help here. So I know that for young athletes, we try to tell them sometimes to stay away too much from social media, but honestly, now is a great time to be on social media. And I think for all of us here, like there are so many people out there putting out good things for people to be doing to stay in shape, whether it's Cap 7 putting out daily home workouts with 3-time Olympian Wolf Weigo, whether it's Tony Azevedo and Maggie Steffens putting out things on the 6-8 app, whether it's certain clubs out around the country putting up their workouts everywhere they go. Our personal Olympians and current national team athletes are posting stuff on their Instagram on a daily basis. There's really like no excuse not to have access to really high level Olympic level workouts for everybody. So it's I think what people can do to shape is just get online, and it's all there for free, which is a pretty amazing time. I think I've said this recently too, that we're in kind of a renaissance of water polo content that's just being built all across the country, and everybody having access to it. Social media is a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, so stir crazy. I'm on like week 19 from working from home, or sorry, day 19 working from home. Hope it doesn't get to week 19.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have a small collection of old CDs from past games back in the past NCAA, some FINA games, and I got to watch. I think it was 2009 USC versus UCLA men's championships, and it was so much
Yeah.
because I don't remember the outcome, and I was
Yeah.
it was happening right now live. It was so awesome, and I was
Yeah.
with the refs from Ohio. I was doing all. It was so much fun, and until my wife told me to turn it off, but you're right. Whether you're watching a workout or whether you're watching some old game that happened in last year or may have been several years ago, you still stay engaged with some of that content. And I think how you said it, that there is a world of free content out there that we would never have imagined happening to us 6 months ago. I mean, if somebody was just writing out every one of these workouts, they could kind of rebuild an Olympic team with all the phenomenal information that's being flown back and forth on this. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. To take advantage. Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned the national team, that you're very engaged with that. If you don't mind, any insights on what they're doing to stay engaged as a team, as a unit? Because being far apart like this can kind of really hurt a program.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's something we jumped on right away. Myself and the two head coaches, Coach Adam, Coach Dayon, right in the beginning. Obviously, we talk every day. We work with each other every day, and kind of as things started to progress with COVID-19, we had to really start talking about, well, what's this look like over the next several months. Just worst case. At that point, we were thinking worst case scenario. Now it's a reality, right? That it's going to be at least a couple of months, if not more. And then the reality of the postponement of the games, Olympic Games, happened as well. So we started doing a few things that I think a lot of people can do for sure in terms of using free resources. So we immediately set up using Google sites like team microsites, individual for each team. So the men's team and the women's team both have a microsite on Google that only they can access. So it's private access to that site. And then on that site, every care provider is putting information and links to the kind of the daily Zoom meetings, the daily workouts. If they have access to a pool workouts, if they have access to a place where they can do some goalie workouts, any strength and conditioning workouts, the mental skills side of things, some like daily psychology or daily meditation or mindfulness work, and nutrition recipes, things they should be eating, the diet patterns they should follow. All that information kind of lives within that microsite, and then that also helps provide the cadence for, like I said, like daily Zoom calls or weekly team meetings and things that kind of keep the team in touch. So the teams have been staying in close proximity, close, I guess, cyberspace proximity, and talking to each other as much as they can. And in some ways, the teams have come closer, because of it, because there's kind of more of a focus and attention on that. But also that doesn't go without its which challenges and the uncertainty of the things ahead. But really, everybody out there, like you guys are doing, taking advantage of Zoom, taking advantage of like these social media sites and things that we can all use to connect on a daily basis. So the teams are doing that heavily now. I'd say one more thing, another that they're doing that a lot of teams can do is they're breaking down a lot of film. Both teams are breaking down a lot of game film, like you mentioned, Mike, like being able to watch these NCAA games. They get to now spend a lot of time studying their opponents. So there's deep and heavy work going into studying the other countries and opponents that will be at the World Championships and Olympics next year.
That's really great. That's incredible. Thank you for that. So you talked about uncertainty,
Yeah.
and we just saw a schedule go out from USA Water Polo, some schedule changes for the summer.
Yeah.
We noticed a big one was Junior Olympics being moved to later this year.
Yeah.
How difficult was that change being made?
Incredibly difficult. I mean, it's not easy, right? To do these things, and I think there's a long list of events there. Obviously, JOs is the headliner, but with all the events that we run, that was a real challenge to move, because I really think about this and learned a lot of lessons watching the Tokyo organizing committee and the IOC try to move the Olympic Games, and how quickly they moved those games. All of that happened. There's some great articles out there you'll read from Thomas Bach talking about how they essentially made the decision to postpone the game in one day, and then within 7 days had new dates immediately afterwards. And we try to kind of follow the similar pattern of like, we just got to do this quick, almost rip the Band-Aid off, put it out there so that everyone can start planning accordingly, because it became abundantly clear that facilities, travel, all the issues were not going to allow us to have the event in July, or really any summer events, including Masters Nationals. Anything summer events were just going to be off the table. So we tried to move quickly and try to get that information out there right away. And now the uncertainty and the next parts of the planning phase begin.
Yeah. Yeah, but if it's any evidence of your decision making, and it sounds like you take a lot of things in consideration in the decision making, I'm sure this year, while it will be unique, I'm sure it will be no less fantastic at those events and other events that you're hosting as well, like Masters Nationals and things like that. So I absolutely wish you and your staff good luck on planning and executing, short term and also in the future with the Olympics. Any closing remarks you want to give us as a farewell to the world of and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you for that. I mean, and we're certainly want to do our best to kind of provide play opportunities for everybody across the country, and it doesn't come without some pain for sure. But we appreciate the support, and I guess I just want to say like that for you guys, what you're doing out in Ohio, and the fact that water polo is growing so rapidly, across the country, is just a testament to this community that you guys mentioned already in this podcast. That we have a tight community, but we're really fired up. We're really passionate, and to see, Wittenberg University have water polo, to see a Division III national championship, to see the growth of college water polo, to see the growth of high school water polo, to see the growing at the youngest age groups is really exciting. So I encourage you guys to keep doing what you're doing out in Ohio, and keep doing it all across the Midwest and all across the country, so that we can have a game after this COVID-19 is over. We can truly have a national sport that for all of us to enjoy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I will say that the coach for Wittenberg does travel down to Cincinnati and plays with the Ohio Squirrels on a more than regular basis, and she is awesome to play against.
Yeah, she's actually on more than I think some of the players that live about 15 minutes away from practice.
Great to hear.
Yeah. Well, John, we appreciate the time, and we're going to put your Twitter handle in when we push this out, and so hopefully more people will follow you and your content. But thank you again for taking the time, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys. Best of luck out there, and be safe.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are coming up towards the end of our broadcast now. Next week, we travel up 75 and talk with the coach of the Oakwood High School team and the Dayton team, Sean Geehan, and then also head out further east and talk to the head of American Water Polo with Damon Newman. And if you have any other people that you'd like for us to talk to, go ahead and send us your comments to cincywaterpolo@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram or Twitter. Our handle is Cincy Water Polo, and let us know what you want to hear about.
Great. And to close us up, the Spin Lob is produced and recorded live by Mike Jones, myself, and Nick Helwig. It's supported by the Ohio Squirrels Water Polo Club. You never get too old to get into the game. Go nuts. And also by Marlins Water Polo. For the love of the game, there's Marlins Water Polo. Our theme music is produced by Jason Shaw at audionx.com. And I'll see you next time on the Spin Lob.